The alien moon was silent. No wind, no birds, no life, only the endless gray dust that stretched beyond the horizon. Captain Xylar of the Vorn Empire stepped out of his landing ship and looked around. His translator device hummed on his chest. The air was cold, sharp, and too still. Behind him 5 soldiers followed, each carrying plasma rifles that glowed faint blue in the darkness. They were here to search. The Vorn fleet had detected strange energy bursts coming from this region. Bursts that didn't match any known technology. The command wanted answers, but the locals had vanished. Thermal scans? Xylar asked. Negative, Captain, replied Trooper Jack. No heat. No movement, nothing. Xylar's black eyes narrowed. Then what made those signals? The team spread out. Their boots crunched softly on the dust. The silence was heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Then, a sound, a deep, distant roar rolled across the plain. It was low at first, like thunder trapped beneath the ground. The dust vibrated. The soldiers froze. What was that? One of them whispered. Another sound followed, closer this time. A second roar, metallic, angry. It echoed through the empty valley, bouncing off the stone cliffs. Xylar turned toward the direction of the sound. Weapons ready, he said calmly, but his throat felt dry. The aliens formed a line. Their eyes scanned the dark horizon. The sound came again, louder now, so powerful that even the ground trembled beneath their feet. Trooper Jack muttered, That's not wind. That's something alive. Impossible, Xylar replied. There's no life on this moon. But the noise grew, layered, mechanical, and rhythmic, almost like breathing. And then it stopped. Silence again. Total silence. The soldiers looked at one another uneasy. Suddenly, their scanners beeped, once, twice, then flatlined. The screens went dark. Equipment failure, Jack said. Something's jamming the signal. Form perimeter, Xylar ordered. Whatever that is, we find it before it finds us. They moved carefully, lights cutting through the mist. In the distance, something shimmered, a faint orange glow through the fog. As they approached, they saw it. Half buried in the ground was a giant metallic shape. Burned, broken, but still alive. It looked like a machine, but not like any Vorn design. Strange symbols were painted across its hull. Some letters still visible under the dust. Xylar brushed the metal with his glove. Human, he read slowly, translating the letters. Earth Federation, Battle Mech, Titan class. He stepped back, confused. Humans, here? The Vorn Empire had only heard stories. Ancient war reports. Primitive creatures from a distant blue planet. Dangerous, aggressive, extinct. Long gone after the galactic wars centuries ago. But this wreck looked new. And it was humming. The same low vibration began again. Stronger now, coming from inside the machine. One of the soldiers gasped. It's waking up. Before Xylar could reply, a loud metallic click echoed. A red light came alive on the mech's head. Then a voice, distorted, heavy, human. System reboot in progress. Stand by. Every alien stepped back. Their weapons pointed at the glowing machine. Xylar's voice was barely a whisper. It's not a monster. It's a weapon. The mech's engines began to whine. Dust lifted from the ground as hidden turbines roared. The air turned hot. The soldiers shouted, trying to keep formation. Power level, 34%. Weapon system online. A huge arm twitched. Metal groaned. The ground cracked beneath it. The roar came again. Now they knew where it came from. Trooper Jack screamed, It's alive! They fired. Plasma bolts hit the mech's chest, leaving bright burns. But it didn't stop. The red light turned toward them like an angry eye. Hostile activity detected. Gauging defense mode. A heavy cannon slid from its shoulder, locking into place with a deafening clang. Xylar yelled, Fall back! But before they could move, a second voice came through the static. Human, calm, tired. Not from the machine, but from their comms. Identify yourselves. This sector is restricted. Everyone froze. The signal wasn't local. It was being broadcast from orbit. Captain, said Jack, his voice shaking. There are humans. Above us. Xylar opened his comm. This is Captain Xylar of the Vorn Empire. Identify yourself, silence. Then, we already did. You're standing in front of a Titan. I suggest you back away. The connection ended. The mech's eye flared bright red. The hum rose into a scream. The sound of pure power. The alien stumbled backward as the machine lifted its arm. Massive, covered in scorch marks, but alive. Its cannon rotated toward the sky, then lowered slightly, right at them. Then the human voice came again, colder this time. Reloading sequence initiated. Xylar's breath stopped. His soldiers looked at him in horror, and for the first time in his long career, the alien captain felt real fear. The ground shook. The roar became a storm. Something ancient, something human was waking up. The red light burned brighter. Dust spun in circles as the great metal machine lifted its head. Its voice, deep and mechanical, echoed across the valley. Reload complete. Target analysis. Unknown life forms detected. Captain Xylar couldn't move. His claws tightened around his plasma rifle, but his mind was frozen. The giant human machine towered over them like a mountain of steel. Trooper Jack whispered, "Captain, we need to run." "Hold your ground," Xylar said, though his own voice trembled. It might not attack. The mech's cannon rotated again. Every sound was a thunderclap in the silence. Weapon calibration. "Ready?" The alien stepped back slowly. Every movement felt like it could be their last. "Who's controlling it?" Jack asked. "I don't know," Xylar replied. "Maybe it's fully automatic." Suddenly a shadow passed overhead. The aliens looked up. A small ship was descending from the clouds, its engines roaring like a storm. It wasn't Vorn design. It was old, and human Xylar blinked in disbelief. "They're real. Humans are still alive." The ship landed near the mech, throwing dust into the air. The back hatch opened and figures stepped out. 5 humans in dark suits carrying weapons that looked older than Vorn technology, but powerful. Their helmets gleamed with blue visors, reflecting the red glow of the mech. One of them raised a hand. "Stand down, Titan 07, he commanded through a comlink. The giant machine froze. The hum faded to silence. Its eye dimmed from red to orange. The alien soldiers lowered their guns, confused and terrified. Xylar took a step forward. You are humans?" The lead human removed his helmet. His face was pale, scarred, with short dark hair and tired eyes. He looked at Xylar with a strange calmness. "Yes," he said. "Name's Commander Hale, Earth Federation Vanguard Division." "Impossible," Xylar said. "The records show your species destroyed. The Galactic War ended centuries ago." Hale gave a faint smile. "We were never destroyed, Captain. Just forgotten." The air between them was heavy. The other human soldiers stayed silent, their weapons lowered but ready. Xylar's translator clicked. "Why are you here?" "This moon is unclaimed." Hale looked up at the mech towering above. "We came to retrieve what's ours. Titan 07. It's part of our defense network. You weren't supposed to find it. You're hiding weapons on dead worlds," Xylar asked. Hale didn't answer immediately. His eyes were cold but not cruel. "Sometimes peace requires shadows," Trooper Jack whispered to Xylar. "Captain, he's threatening us." Xylar ignored him. "We detected your energy burst. We thought it was a monster." Hale chuckled softly. "To you it might be. To us it's history." The mech suddenly made a low mechanical sound, like a growl. The ground shook again. Hale looked up, frowning. "Titan status report," he said. "External interference detected. Hostile surveillance within 20 kilometers." Hale turned serious. "They followed you here, didn't they?" Xylar's eyes widened. "Who?" "Your fleet," Hale replied. "They're tracking your signal. And now they know we're here." A loud alarm blared from the mech's body. The humans moved quickly, checking scanners. "Multiple Vorn ships inbound," the mech reported. "Ito, 7 minutes," Jack cursed. "They're coming for us." Xylar's heart sank. The fleet would not come to rescue him. They would come to erase any evidence, and including him, if necessary. Hale looked at Xylar. "If your people find this mech, they'll destroy it. And us with it." Xylar stared at him. "Then what do you suggest?" "Work with us," Hale said calmly. "Help us shut it down before they arrive." The alien soldiers murmured in confusion. Xylar hesitated. Working with humans, the ancient enemy, was madness. But he saw something in Hale's eyes. Not arrogance, not hatred, just determination. "Agreed," Xylar said finally. "But if you betray us," Hale interrupted, "you'll be dead before you can warn anyone." Fair trade, they moved fast. The humans split into teams. 2 began setting up energy dampeners around the mech. Xylar's team helped link their scanners. The air filled with electronic hums and the sound of footsteps on metal. For a moment, it felt like an alliance born from fear. "Commander," said one of the humans, "Vorn cruisers have entered low orbit. Time." 4 minutes. Hale turned to Xylar. "We can't hide Titan. We need to bury it." "Bury?" "Detonate the surface," Hale said. "Collapse the crater. Make it look like nothing was ever here." Xylar's translator struggled with the human's tone. "That would kill us all. Only if we're too slow." The humans began setting charges. Xylar's soldiers exchanged worried looks. The ground started to shake again as engines roared overhead. Vorn warships entering the atmosphere. A streak of light crossed the sky. The first bombardment had begun. Hale shouted, "Everyone to the ship!" Xylar's team followed, running through dust and fire. The mech's red light flared again. "Commander, I'm not leaving." Hale stopped. "Titan, that's an order. My directive is to protect human life." "You are still in danger." The giant machine straightened, metal creaking. Its cannon lifted toward the falling Vorn ships. "Titan, no!" Hale yelled. Reloading, the aliens and humans dove for cover as a massive energy beam tore through the sky, splitting the clouds apart. One Vorn ship exploded instantly. The others opened fire. Rocks and fire rained down. The mech took the hits, shielding the area like a wall. The human's ship engine screamed as it powered up. "Commander, now!" shouted one of his crew. Hale turned to Xylar. "Get your men inside." "You're coming with us, what?" "Unless you want to die for silence." Xylar hesitated, then nodded. His team rushed aboard the human ship. As the ramp closed, he looked one last time through the viewing port. The mech stood alone, surrounded by smoke and light. "Reload complete," it said softly. For Earth, the next blast engulfed everything in white fire. The world outside turned white. Flames rose like mountains. The shockwave slammed into the human ship, making every metal joint scream. Inside, Captain Xylar was thrown against the wall. The ship shook so hard the floor cracked under his boots. Trooper Jack grabbed the nearest seat, shouting, "The blast! It's catching up! Engines full thrust!" Commander Hale yelled. The pilot pulled the controls. The ship's engines roared, lifting it through the burning dust. Through the window, Xylar saw the Titan mech, standing tall, defiant, as fire swallowed it whole. Then came silence. A second later, the shockwave hit. The ship jumped upward, tossed like a leaf in a storm. The lights flickered, alarms screamed, and sparks burst from the ceiling. "Stabilizers offline," the pilot shouted. "Hold her steady!" Hale barked. "We're not dying today." The human ship broke through the clouds, shaking but alive. Behind them, the surface of the moon glowed red like a dying star. Inside the cabin, smoke filled the air. The smell of burnt circuits was sharp and bitter. Xylar looked around. His soldiers were bruised but breathing. The humans moved fast, working like they'd done this 1,000 times before. He stared at Hale, who stood at the command console, face lit by flickering screens. "You destroyed your own machine," Xylar said quietly. "Why?" Hale didn't look up. "Because it would have killed everyone else if we didn't. But it saved us," Xylar said. Hale finally turned toward him. His eyes were cold, distant. "Titan 07 wasn't saving you. It was protecting us. That's what it was built for." Xylar frowned. "Your weapons, your machines, they're too dangerous." Hale almost smiled. "That's why the galaxy tried to erase us." Xylar's translator beeped softly, confused by Hale's tone, part anger, part sorrow. "What do you mean, erase?" Xylar asked. The human commander leaned against the console, his voice calm but heavy. "You think humans disappeared after the galactic wars. That's the story everyone tells. But the truth is, we left? We saw what the galaxy had become. Empires fighting over dust. Species calling themselves gods, so we hid. We buried our worlds, shut down our beacons, and went dark." Xylar didn't believe it. "You abandoned everything." Hale's eyes darkened. "No, we prepared. We built machines like Titan 07 on dead moons and forgotten planets. Each one was a promise. If anyone ever came looking for us again, they'd find this." He pointed out the window toward the burned surface below. "A warning?" Xylar asked. "A reminder," Hale said. "That humanity might sleep, but it never dies." The cabin fell silent. Even Jack didn't dare speak. After a moment, the pilot turned. "Commander, incoming signals. The Vorn fleet survived the blast." "How many?" Hale asked. 2 cruisers and several drones. They're tracking us? Yes, sir. And closing fast. Hale cursed under his breath. We can't outfly them. Our engines are damaged. He looked at Xylar. If they catch us, they'll kill us both. Maybe that's what they want. Xylar shook his head. No. The Vorn Council will want proof that humans are real. They'll take you alive. Hale's expression hardened. That's worse. He turned to his crew. Prepare a jump to shadow space. Sir, the pilot said, the drive's unstable. If we jump now, we could tear the hull apart. Then we'll hold it together, Hale said. Xylar stepped forward. Shadow space? That's restricted technology. Even the Vorn haven't mastered it. Hale gave him a small, sharp smile. Exactly, the ship's lights dimmed. Panels glowed purple as the engines built power. The whole hull vibrated like it was alive. Behind them, the Vorn ships closed in. Dark triangles cutting through space, firing warning shots. Plasma bolts flashed past the windows. Shields down to 40%, shouted one of the humans. Hale grabbed the comm. Hold steady. Prepare for jump in 10 seconds. Outside, one of the Vorn ships fired a heavy plasma beam. It hit the rear of the human craft, tearing through the armor. The cabin filled with sparks and alarms. We're hit, yelled the pilot. Keep it together, Hale ordered. Xylar stumbled, gripping a railing. Your ship won't last another hit. Then pray the drive holds, Hale said. 3, 2, 1. The world exploded in white light. Everything stretched, twisted, and vanished. The next thing Xylar felt was silence. Absolute silence. No alarms, no shaking. Just a deep, endless hum. He opened his eyes. Outside the window was not space. It was something else. Swirling ocean of shadows and light, moving like smoke underwater. Where are we? Xylar whispered. Between, Hale said. Shadow space. No sensors. No coordinates. We're ghosts now, Jack looked around nervously. Can we even get out? Eventually, Hale said. If the drive doesn't burn out first. Xylar stepped closer to the viewport. Strange lights outside pulsed, almost like living things watching them. This place, he said softly. It feels wrong. Hale looked at him. It's not meant for anyone. We built it for survival, not comfort. For the first time, Xylar saw the truth behind the human's cold voice. Hale wasn't just a soldier. He was someone carrying a secret far heavier than any war. The ship creaked. Systems flickered. One human engineer muttered, "Drive temperature rising. We can't stay long," Hale nodded. "Plot a safe exit vector." He turned to Xylar. "When we return to normal space, you'll have to decide, Captain. Tell your people what you saw. Or let them keep believing we're gone." Xylar stared at him. "If I tell them the truth, they'll come for you." Hale's reply was quiet. "Then you'll have to decide which side you're really on." The silence stretched. Outside, the swirling light of shadow space began to shift, like something huge was moving through it. Jack pointed at the window. "Commander, something's out there." Everyone turned. In the mist of darkness, shapes appeared. Massive, slow gliding. Not ships, not life forms. Something older, deeper. The sensors crackled with static. "Those aren't Vorn signatures," said the pilot. Hale's eyes narrowed. "No, those are ours." The entire ship shuddered. "Connection detected," said the onboard AI. "Multiple Earth Federation signals nearby." Hale's voice was barely a whisper. "So we're not the only ones left." The lights dimmed and a deep human voice echoed from the comms. Calm, metallic, ancient. "Vanguard 07, you were not supposed to return." Hale froze. Xylar looked at him. "Who is that?" Hale's face turned pale. "The ones who stayed behind." The voice on the comm was deep, almost ancient. "Vanguard 07, you were not supposed to return." Every human in the ship froze. Commander Hale's hand hovered over the console. His face went pale, his jaw tight. "Confirm signal origin," he ordered. The pilot's voice trembled. "It's coming from ahead." Inside shadow space itself. Captain Xylar stepped closer, uneasy. "That voice human?" "Yes," Hale said softly. "But not from our time." The air felt heavy, as if the shadows themselves were listening. Outside the window, faint outlines appeared, colossal structures drifting in the mist. They weren't ships exactly. They looked like floating fortresses made of black metal, glowing faintly with blue human symbols. Trooper Jack whispered, "What is that?" Hale stared, eyes wide with disbelief. "The Epsilon fleet." "It's real. What fleet?" Xylar asked. "The first generation of human warships," Hale said. "They vanished 200 years ago during the retreat. We thought they were destroyed." "Vanguard 07, the voice repeated. "You are entering restricted space. Identify your mission." Hale cleared his throat. "This is Commander Hale, Earth Federation Vanguard Division. We retrieved Titan 07 from lunar grid Theta 7. Requesting emergency clearance." Silence. Then the voice replied, colder than before. "Clearance denied. You have broken the silence protocol." A sudden energy surge rocked the ship. Warning lights turned red. The humans stumbled as the cabin tilted violently. Energy beam locked on us. The pilot yelled, "It's coming from the nearest fortress." Xylar gripped the railing. "They're attacking you?" "They're not attacking," Hale said grimly. "They're judging." "Unauthorized vessel," the voice continued. "You carry alien signatures. Contamination detected. Prepare for termination." Jack looked at Hale in shock. "They mean us, don't they?" "Devorn, yes," Hale said, his voice dark. "They detect alien DNA. To the Epsilon fleet, that's treason. Then tell them to stop." Xylar shouted. "I can't," Hale replied. "They follow ancient orders. No contact with outsiders. No exceptions." Outside, the mist began to swirl faster. The fortress slowly rotated, revealing massive weapon towers glowing blue. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. "Direct hit on their shield," the pilot shouted. But the fortress didn't fall. It turned slowly, its guns recharging. Hale slammed a fist on the console. "We're not breaking through." "They're too strong," Xylar looked at him. "Then stop fighting." "There must be another way," the commander hesitated. "Another way." He stared at the glowing human symbols on the fortress walls. They pulsed in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Hale's eyes widened. "They're using old recognition codes." He ran to the main console and began typing rapidly. "What are you doing?" Xylar asked. "Sending a Federation override," Hale said. "If they're still running the old system, they'll have to listen." The lights flickered. The hum grew louder. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the firing stopped. The fortress lights dimmed. The mist around them calmed. "Override recognized," said the voice. "Commander Hale, status human confirmed." Everyone exhaled in relief. "Proceed to docking bay 09 for debrief." Jack laughed nervously. "They almost killed us, and now they want to talk." Hale didn't smile. "That's how humans do peace. It starts with a gun." The ship slowly approached the massive fortress. Its structure was immense, miles wide, covered in layers of armor and faded insignias that once represented human colonies. As they entered a hangar, lights flickered on. Thousands of tiny drones hovering silently, like guards waiting for orders. The ship landed gently. The engines went quiet. "Everyone stay sharp," Hale said. "They won't trust you, Captain." Xylar nodded. "I don't trust them either." The ramp lowered with a hiss. The air that entered smelled of metal, oil, and old memories. Hale and Xylar stepped out first, followed by their crews. The hangar was vast and silent, filled with empty human ships floating in the dim light. From the far end, figures began to appear, tall humanoids made of both flesh and machine. Their eyes glowing faint blue. "Who are they?" Jack whispered. Hale's voice was low. "The evolved. Humans who chose to merge with the machines to survive." One of them stepped forward. Its voice was smooth, emotionless. "Commander Hale, you broke the silence protocol. You brought aliens into the sanctum. Explain yourself." Hale met its glowing eyes without fear. "Because the war never ended. And you've been hiding while the galaxy burns." The mechanical human tilted its head. "The galaxy is irrelevant. Only Earth matters," Xylar frowned. "Earth! But it's gone," Hale interrupted. "Destroyed long ago." The mechanical being turned slowly toward Xylar. "Incorrect. Earth sleeps, and we guard its dream." The silence that followed felt like a knife. Hale stepped closer. "Then wake it. The galaxy is changing. The Vorn Empire is rising again." The being's eyes brightened. "Then perhaps it is time for the humans to rise again." The lights in the hangar began to glow brighter, one by one, as hundreds of sleeping war machines came alive. Engines hummed. Weapons unfolded. The fortress itself began to vibrate, power returning after centuries of silence. Xylar whispered, "What are you doing?" Hale looked up, his voice calm but filled with awe. Reloading, the hangar trembled. The old walls, once silent for centuries, began to hum with power. Rows of lights flickered to life as deep engines rumbled below. The fortress was waking up. Commander Hale stood frozen, his eyes wide as the mechanical beings, the evolved, raised their heads toward the ceiling. Blue light flowed through their armor, running like rivers of electricity. Captain Xylar could barely breathe. "What is happening?" Hale's voice was low, almost reverent. "They're reactivating the defense cores. The Epsilon fleet is coming online." Xylar stepped back, eyes wide. "But why now?" Before Hale could answer, the lead evolved stepped forward. Its voice was calm, cold, yet carried something ancient within it. "Earth sleeps beneath the ashes of war. But the stars whisper again. The intruders you call Vorn have crossed the forbidden line." "The forbidden line," Hale repeated. "The line that was never meant to be crossed," the being said. The moment alien feet stepped upon the ruins of Titan 07, the system woke. The Guardians heard the call, the ground shook. Deep below the fortress, heavy machinery moved. Gears larger than mountains, engines buried for generations roaring to life. Hale's ship sensors flickered. "Massive power surge below us," the pilot reported. "It's like the whole station is charging up." The evolved turned toward the far wall, where an enormous window overlooked the mist of shadow space. Slowly, the fog began to clear, revealing dozens, no, hundreds, of massive human ships awakening in the dark. Xylar's voice trembled. That's a fleet." Hale nodded slowly. "The real Earth fleet. You were never meant to find us," said the evolved. "But the galaxy forced our hand. The time for silence is over." Hale looked at him sharply. "You plan to go to war again." The being tilted its head. "War never ended." The noise stopped. Xylar stepped forward. "If you attack, the entire galaxy will unite against you. The Vorn Empire, the Sarathi clans, the Union. They will all fight." The evolved's glowing eyes flickered like lightning. "Let them come. We were forged in extinction. Conflict is the forge of humanity." Hale clenched his fists. "You can't win that kind of war again." "Win?" the evolved asked softly. "That word belongs to those who fear loss. We do not fear. We reload." The final word echoed through the hangar, deep and powerful. Reload. Outside, the massive fleet moved as one, engines lighting up like a sunrise across the Black Sea. The ships bore names etched into their hulls. Dauntless Endurance, Echo of Earth, Liberty's Flame. Each one was a ghost from the past, reborn. Xylar watched in awe. "Your people. You hid this from the universe?" Hale turned to him, his voice heavy. "We didn't hide it. We buried it, hoping we'd never need it again." Suddenly, alarms blared across the hangar. A new voice came through the intercom. One of the human pilots still aboard the ship. "Commander, we're picking up Vorn fleet signals. They've traced our jump." The evolved turned instantly. "How many?" "More than a dozen war cruisers and—" The pilot hesitated. "One capital dreadnought." Hale's face hardened. "They're coming here." The evolved nodded slowly. "Then we begin." Panels opened along the hangar floor. Silver drones rose silently into the air, forming neat attack formations. Their wings shimmered with blue light. Xylar stepped forward, alarmed. "You can't fight them here. Shadow space isn't stable." The evolved's eyes glowed brighter. "Then they will vanish into their own shadows." The entire fortress began to shift, breaking apart into sections that floated independently, like pieces of a living machine. Giant cannons emerged from the sides, each one glowing with energy. Hale looked around, both amazed and afraid. "You built weapons inside shadow space." "We built home," said the evolved. The first Vorn ship broke through the mist, black, sharp, alien. It fired instantly, beams cutting through the darkness. The energy struck one of the smaller human vessels. But the shield held. The Epsilon fleet responded. A single human cruiser turned and fired. One beam of pure light that tore through 3 Vorn ships in a single strike. The explosion filled the void with burning debris. Even Xylar couldn't speak. His soldiers watched the view in silence, unable to understand how ancient machines could unleash such power. "This isn't war," Xylar said softly. "This is judgment." Hale's eyes stayed fixed on the window. And humanity is the judge. The Evolved walked closer to Hale. You have seen what we protect. You have touched what was forbidden. What will you do with that knowledge? Hale looked back, silent for a moment. Then he said, Tell me the truth. What happened to Earth? The being paused. For the first time, its voice carried emotion. Something almost human. Earth did not die. It went to sleep beneath the red sands of the old wars. We sealed it within the cradle, beneath the mantle, safe from the galaxy. It dreams still, waiting for the signal. What signal? Hale asked quietly. The signal that humanity has learned to rise without hate. Xylar looked between them. And if that never happens? The Evolved turned to him. Then Earth will never wake. But its children will defend it forever. Outside, the Vorn dreadnought entered the field, massive and black, its weapons glowing with green fire. It launched hundreds of drones toward the human fleet. Commander, the pilot shouted, They're targeting us. Hale took a deep breath. Then we stand with them. He turned to Xylar. You said your people only respect strength. Watch closely. The human fleet formed a wall around the fortress. Beams of white light crossed the void, meeting the Vorn attack head-on. The explosion that followed lit shadow space brighter than any star. And through it all, one sound echoed again, low, metallic, thunderous. The sound of the Earth's guardians. Reloading. The void screamed. Shadow space twisted and tore apart as the two fleets clashed. Human ships and Vorn cruisers danced in a storm of light and darkness. Every explosion echoed like thunder through eternity. Commander Hale stood on the command deck, gripping the rail. The human fleet fought like ghosts, silent, deadly, precise. Each shot found its mark. Each move felt like it had been planned for centuries. But the Vorn weren't giving up. Their dreadnought, the Oblivion Star, advanced slowly. Its massive cannons glowing green. The power radiating from it was enough to shatter moons. Captain Xylar watched in disbelief. Your fleet shouldn't even exist, he whispered. You were supposed to be extinct. Hale didn't look at him. We never vanished. We just waited for a reason. Then came a low voice through the comms. The voice of the Evolved leader. Commander Hale, the enemy dreadnought carries a singularity core. If it detonates, shadow space will collapse. Hale's head snapped up. Collapse? What happens if it does? Everything inside it will be erased. Us, them, and this fortress. Xylar turned sharply. Then we retreat. There is no retreat, the Evolved replied. If they leave shadow space, they'll reach open systems. Billions will die, the words hung in silence. Hale closed his eyes. For a moment he remembered Earth. Not the real one, but the one from his dreams. The green fields, the oceans, the laughter of children under blue skies. He opened his eyes again. Then we stop them here. The Evolved leader stepped forward. You are human. You understand what must be done. Hale nodded grimly. Tell me the plan. In the dark field of battle, the human fleet split into 3 divisions. The first drew the Vorn's attention, attacking from above with rapid strikes. The second used the shadows, flanking them from behind. The third division, Hale's, went silent, completely invisible. They moved under the Vorn dreadnought inside the twisted gravity waves of shadow space. It was a place where light bent, and time itself seemed to pause. Xylar looked out the viewport nervously. We're too close. One wrong move, and we're part of the shadows. Hale finished calm but cold. On the dreadnought's bridge, the Vorn commander growled. Increase power to the core. End this battle now. His crew obeyed, unaware that deep beneath them, human drones were attaching to the dreadnought's hull. Hundreds of them. Each drone carried one word etched into its metal shell. Reload. The Evolved fleet opened fire again, distracting the Vorn ships. The sky filled with burning fragments like falling stars. Inside the human ship, Hale activated the drone link. All units synchronized detonation timing. We can't risk a chain collapse. Timer set, said the pilot. 40 seconds, Xylar looked at him. 40 seconds until what? Hale turned slowly. Until the dreadnought becomes history. Xylar's eyes widened. You'll die too. Hale gave a faint smile. Maybe, but if we live, we'll make sure they never come back. The countdown began. Plan E 38. The human fleet fought with desperation, buying them time. Ships exploded one after another, but no one retreated. Every pilot fought until the last breath. 24, 23. The Vorn dreadnought's sensors flickered. Their commander shouted, "Something's wrong. There's an energy surge on the hull." Too late, 10. "Do not see you." Hale looked at Xylar. "If we don't make it out, tell your people what you saw. Tell them the humans didn't vanish." We reloaded. Xylar's throat tightened. He had never seen courage like this before. "You're insane," he whispered. "But I'll remember." 4, 3, 2, Hale whispered one last word. Fire. The drones detonated together, not an explosion, but an implosion. A wave of blue light folded the dreadnought inward, crushing it into nothingness. The shockwave spread, tearing the Vorn fleet apart. The human ships vanished in the burst, swallowed by light. For a moment, shadow space was silent again. Then, one by one, glowing silhouettes appeared in the mist. The evolved fleet survived, their shields shimmering like liquid silver. Hale's ship drifted out of the fog, battered but alive. Xylar stared out the viewport, speechless. You destroyed a dreadnought in shadow space." Hale stood still, his face pale but proud. "No, we destroyed a nightmare." The evolved leader appeared on the main screen. "The battle is over. The Vorn are gone. Shadow space is sealed once more." Hale nodded. "For how long?" "Until the next roar," said the evolved with something almost like a smile. Xylar turned to Hale. "What happens now?" "You can't stay hidden forever. The galaxy will come looking." Hale looked out at the sleeping fleet, the mist curling around it like clouds around mountains. "We'll wait," he said softly, "just like before. And when the next threat comes..." He looked down at his weapon, a simple human rifle, scratched and old. "We'll reload." The screen faded. In the silence, somewhere deep within the fortress, a soft hum began again. The heart of Earth, the sleeping cradle, pulsed once, as if it heard the echo of the battle. The dream wasn't over. There was only waiting. Silence filled shadow space. The battle was over, yet the echoes of war still vibrated in the cold mist. Human and alien wreckage drifted like frozen ghosts among the stars. Commander Hale stood at the edge of the viewing deck, his eyes fixed on the endless black. His armor was cracked, his ship damaged, but his spirit unbroken. Captain Xylar stood beside him, his expression lost between fear and awe. "Your people fought like legends," he said softly. "No one in the galaxy fights like that." Hale gave a tired smile. "That's because no one in the galaxy has lost what we did." Behind them, the evolved walked silently, their glowing eyes dimmed but steady. They had won, but victory felt hollow. "Commander," one of the evolved said, "shadow space is stabilizing. The Vorn signal is gone, for now. We are safe." Hale turned to him. "And Earth?" The being hesitated, still sleeping. "But something changed. Changed how?" Hale asked. During the explosion, the cradle's core pulsed. "It responded to your command," Hale frowned. "My command?" "The word you spoke before the detonation," the evolved said quietly. "Reload." The room fell silent. Every human aboard the ship looked up at him, their tired eyes slowly widening with realization. Hale felt his heartbeat quicken. "Show me." In the control chamber, holographic screens flickered to life. A glowing map of the solar system appeared, and at its center, a faint blue pulse. "It came from Earth," the evolved leader spoke. "That is the cradle's signal. It hasn't moved in centuries, but now it stirs." The pulse grew stronger, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Xylar watched in disbelief. "Your planet? It's alive?" Hale whispered. "Not alive. Listening." "Perhaps," the evolved said, "it heard your battle." Perhaps it felt humanity's spirit awaken again. For the first time, hope filled the cold room. The humans gathered around the projection as the pulse brightened, spreading light across the dark system map. Hale stared at it, barely breathing. After all these years, it's still waiting for us. Suddenly, the hologram flickered, a transmission trying to connect. The crew gasped. "Commander," the communications officer shouted. "Incoming signal, origin Earth." Everyone froze, the static cleared. And then, a voice, soft, ancient, human. "To those who carry the flame, this is the cradle. We have heard the roar. We are ready. The word sent chills down every spine. Sylar stepped back. Impossible. Your world speaks? Hale's eyes filled with emotion. It was never dead. It was guarding itself. Waiting for the right moment, the evolved bowed their heads. The cradle recognizes you, Commander. You are its echo, the voice of its children. Hale swallowed hard. Then we go home. The Epsilon fleet turned, its massive engines igniting once again. Through the thinning mist of shadow space, the path to the stars opened, a narrow tunnel of light leading toward the real universe. The fleet moved together, slow and steady, like an army of phantoms returning from the grave. Sylar watched from the viewport, silent. For the first time he understood. The humans weren't monsters. They weren't conquerors. They were survivors, forged by pain, united by defiance. He looked at Hale. If your world returns, the galaxy will fear you again. Hale smiled faintly. Good. Fear keeps them from making the same mistake twice. Hours later, the fleet emerged near the solar system. The view was breathtaking. The sun glowing like a distant god, and beyond it a small blue sphere wrapped in clouds, Earth. Every human aboard the ships fell silent. Some whispered prayers. Others just stared in tears. The Evolved's voice echoed across the comms. We stand at the gates of our origin. The cradle calls. Hale whispered. Open the link. The signal connected again. The same ancient voice spoke, stronger now, almost alive. Humanity! You have endured. The wars burned our sky, but you rebuilt in the dark. The galaxy forgot your name, but your echo never faded. Now return to the soil that made you. Rebuild the light. The entire fleet vibrated as energy surged through their systems. Beacons lit up on the surface of Earth, shining through the clouds. Giant structures, ancient, metallic, human, began to rise from beneath the oceans. The cradle was waking. Sylar watched in stunned silence. You buried entire cities beneath your planet? Hale smiled through tears. Not cities. Memories. The ocean waves parted as enormous rings of light rose from the water. The same rings that once launched Earth's first ships into space. The past returns, said the Evolved softly. Humanity's roar will echo once more. Hale placed his hand on the glass, watching the planet come alive again. Welcome home, he whispered. But then, deep within the transmission, another message appeared, faint but clear. Commander Hale, this is Archive 01. You have awakened the cradle. But beware, others will come for it. Hale's expression hardened. The Vorn weren't the only ones listening. The roar was heard across galaxies, the Evolved added quietly. The universe now knows humanity has returned. Sylar turned toward him, his voice trembling. What will you do when they come? Hale looked at him, eyes calm, voice steady. We'll do what we've always done. He raised his weapon slowly, the barrel gleaming in the blue light of Earth's rebirth. We'll reload. The screen faded to black. The heartbeat of the cradle echoed one last time, steady, strong, and endless. Earth had awakened, and humanity's legend had just begun.